Greetings, Inquisitor. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Loquitur, where we address some of the questions that pop up over in the Discord channel. The link to the Discord is in the description of the Holocron down below. Feel free to click that and join. It's a great community, a lot of new players getting help from experienced players that are willing to answer a lot of questions. It's a very nice community. I'd love to see you over there. Hope to see you soon. First question we're going to talk about today is about the Snowtrooper. On my Loquitur account, I did build a Snowtrooper. This was my first relic. And somebody asked if they were building an account now, would a Snowtrooper still be recommended? And in fact, I've never recommended the Snowtrooper as an early relic for anyone. On my particular account, I was rising up through Squad Arena. I was planning to get a good counter for the Geos. I hadn't built up Vader yet at that point. And I knew that once I got into Grand Arena, I'd be facing a lot of Geo teams and potentially Jedi Knight Revan teams, especially for people buying the Hyperdrive bundle. Those are very common early teams. And the Trooper team can very easily beat both of those teams, even with low-level Troopers, just with one big damage dealer. So I built the Snowtrooper. If you're looking to do the same thing and you don't mind to build the Snowtrooper, the gear for the Snowtrooper, it's pretty easy to get him to gear 12. So it's easy to make him one of your first relics if you want it. Later in the game, he'll start to fall off. He will not be nearly as effective as a ranged trooper or a dark trooper would be in that slot. So it's a long-term versus short-term. The Snowtrooper is definitely a short-term incentive. Again, I haven't recommended that as an early relic for anybody. But that's why I built it, and if you want that same team, if you want a good Geo counter, a good Jedi Knight Revan counter early, then a Snowtrooper can be an option for you. But if you're a little more patient with your troopers, you really should build the Ranged Trooper or the Dark Trooper for that slot. The next question I want to talk about is farming in phases. I've had several people ask, should I proceed with this journey? Should I relic a character? Like, what would the next thing to do be in the account? And for me, one of the, structure that I have that I would share with anybody as a good idea, I am always working to relic one character. So at any given time, I've picked the next character that's going to relic level. I'm actively farming the pieces that need to be filled in to finish that character out to gear 13 or to advance the relic levels on that character. The second layer I have is the long-term farming plan. So the ships that I'm farming, the characters that I'm farming, the hard nodes, and there I'm just collecting shards to get the character to 7 stars so that it can be maxed out. The third layer is all of the stuff in between. So if you look at my favorites, there's a lot of characters in here. If you look at the journey guide for the current journey we're on, there's a lot of characters in here. And this is where we're sort of letting the game fill in the gear. We're keeping an eye on it if there's a particular piece of gear that we want to farm. Let's say, for example, I really wanted to get Wat Tambor to gear 12 as one of my next targets. Then I would go in here and find out what materials he needed and, farm up the last few of those to qualify him. But basically, 3 tiers. One is the relicking tier, one is the long-term projects where I'm gathering stars, and one is everything in between where I'm sort of letting the game help me fill in the gear and farming up what I need to advance those characters. If you do that, then you'll have your short-term plan for your relic characters, you'll have your long-term plan for your next project, and meanwhile you'll be raising the level of all your characters in between, which is going to help you in Grand Arena and help secure higher income all throughout the game. Had a question on ship speed. This comes up from time to time. Now there is a very detailed explanation of this in the starting guide, but for anybody who hasn't seen it, the speed of a ship is determined by a multiplier. And it's a multiplier based on your character's stats. Not necessarily the stats as such, but we'll go into that here in a second. So if we look at this ship, it's 194 speed. In order to get that speed, we need to max out everything that influences speed. The skill level influences ship speed. So each one of these skills needs to be maxed out. Zetas need to be on. Mods, the number of dots influences the speed. So the speed goes up from a 5-dot mod to a 6-dot mod. The level of the mods between 1 and 15 increase it. So taking the mods to level 15 helps your speed. Taking them to 6-dot helps your speed. Omegas help your speed specifically, and Zetas help your speed even more. And then, of course, relic levels continue to boost the speed of your ship. So in this case, if we want to really optimize the speed of our ship, we have to go all the way to relic 9 just to get that last 2 speed squeezed out of it to stay ahead of our opponents. So making your character faster, if you try to go in here and speed up your character itself, that will not help with the speed of the ship. It's only the dots on the mod and the levels of the mod themselves. It's not the actual stats that you get off the mods. But think of it this way. If you increase a skill, it increases the character's galactic power. If you put on a Zeta, it increases the character's galactic power by quite a bit. If you put 5-dot mods to 6 dots, it increases the galactic power. So if you think about it that way, each thing that you can do to a character that would increase its galactic power also is increasing the ship's speed through that modifier. Next question we'll talk about, somebody asked questions about some low-level teams. So we'll talk a little bit about some low-level teams. One of them that I think everybody should pay attention to is the Bastila Shan team. This is the new account that I started with Hyperdrive Bundle, and you can see here we can already unlock a 5-star Grandmaster Yoda right away. We can put that under the Bastila Shan leadership. Now, why this leadership is so important, early in the game at this level, in order to complete events and feats, you need to keep all your characters alive. Her leadership brings your Jedi into the battle with a whole bunch of extra protection up that can't be dispelled. And without the Zeta, it gives you 200% protection up. That means that characters, even at a lower level, are going to be very durable. They're going to make it through the battle without potentially even losing that protection. That can get you very high banners in Grand Arena. It can get you through Galactic Wars, which is a challenge for some people. The challenges, anywhere you can put her in on challenges for, working on unlocking mod stuff early, anything. So her leadership is really a key for an early game squad to get all your unlocks and get through Galactic War. At the end of each round of Galactic War, if this team wins, you can bring it into the next Galactic War and she'll refresh that 200% protection up. So you can potentially go through the whole thing without these characters ever losing protection or life. So that's a very good early game team that people should pay attention to. The next question, I've had several people ask about the ZAM Omicron. So let's look at ZAM and let's look at what the Omicron does. And what I've said to people is put the Omicron on ZAM if you're willing to put resources into her to level her up and gear her up to a high level. So if you look at the Omicron, what it does, gains 60% offense for each scoundrel attacker ally, gains 60%, and again, it's 20%, but then in Grand Arena, it's 60% with the Omicron, right? She'll gain 60% max health for each scoundrel support and healer, and 20% to her max protection for each scoundrel tank ally. So if she has low stats, then these 60% increases aren't that impressive. Then she shares out, she also gets 5% speed for each other bounty hunter, and then all the other bounty hunters gain 20% of her offense, health, protection, and speed. So let's say you have a Gear 10 ZAM. She'll share quite a bit of speed, so that's nice. It'll speed up your bounty hunter team. But her offense, health, and protection stats aren't going to be that impressive. If you look at it the other way around, if you get ZAM to a high relic level, then she has a lot of offense, a lot of health, and a lot of protection. And when she shares that out with other bounty hunters, it's really a lot of stats. So the way to use ZAM is a lot like the way to use Qui-Gon Jinn, where you create a high relic ZAM and you put her in a team with bounty hunters. And the bounty hunters don't even have to be that good. Let's take a look at the stats on my ZAM here. We've tried to get her offense over 10,000, so we've managed to do that. So right now, her damage is 10,054. So if we go in with, let's say, 4 other attackers, that would be 38,000, right? Because we're adding 60% for each other, and there's 4 others. So I guess it would be 24,000 additional, so it would be 34,000. So 34,000, we share back 20% of that. That's 6,800 damage. If we go in and we look at a small other bounty hunter, let's just say we've got some low-level bounty hunters somewhere like Fennec Shan floating around here at 4 stars, not much gear level, whatever. So let's take a look quick at her offense. Her damage is 864. So if we put her into a battle, she's really not going to do much. But if now we add 6,800 offense on top of this, you'd be looking at 7,000 damage, and now all of a sudden this very low level character is hitting like a Relic 5 character. Also passes over 60% of her health and protection. So even though Fennec at this level has very low health and protection, she would be getting 20% of ZAM's health and protection on top of that. And at this level, where I've got ZAM, it's about 50,000 of each. So that would share 10,000 health and 10,000 protection. So it doesn't make your characters incredibly tanky. Of course, if you put her in with more tanks and supports, then they would get more of those stats. But I think a way to use her, and let's say we put her in with like a Greedo and an Embo and stuff like that. These characters really aren't that good, but under ZAM's leadership, that could already be a team that would take out some kind of mid-tier team with a few relics in it. So, to my point of view, don't invest in the Omicron and ZAM unless you're willing to invest in ZAM herself. It's a stat-sharing Omicron, and to get the maximum benefit out of that, you do need ZAM herself to be at a high relic level. Now, if you've already got a relic bounty hunter team and you're using it and you want to, let's say, have a counter for gas, a team like this with Aura Singh, Mandalorian, Grief Karga, and Bosk can counter General Skywalker. And in that case, your ZAM doesn't have to be that high of a level. You're not really looking for all the stat sharing. You're just looking for that additional burst of speed that's going to put you so fast that the opposing team doesn't get a turn before you. So in that case, maybe even a Gear 12 ZAM if you made her fast enough, along with some fast bounty hunters, and that's already good enough to do what needs to be done. So if you're going to use her specifically for a bounty hunter team to speed it up, you don't have to invest in her gear as much. But if you're going to use her as a booster and really look to get the most out of those stats, then you want to invest in the character herself. The last thing we want to talk about is Galactic Legend Rush. I keep hearing the phrase rush, and I'm going to politely ask that we stop using rush, as I don't believe in the idea of a rush ever. So to me, here's what the difference is. If you look at, again, we'll just go to my Loquitur account, for example, because I built Sith Eternal. It was my first big project. It took me 1 year to complete. You might say, well, that's a rush. It really wasn't. I built the troopers. I built Geos. I built some bounty hunter stuff. I built a Mon Mothma team. We got Padme up and running. Along the way to the Sith Eternal, we probably built 5 or 6 other teams. So we stabilized the account with all kinds of squads for Grand Arena. We didn't just go straight for the Galactic Legend and leave everything else behind. We've got a Jedi team. We've got the Empire team, of course. We've built Enfys Nest. We've built the Trooper team since then. But a lot of these teams got built along the way. So the idea of a rush of just starting an account and only doing the requirements and going straight into the Galactic Legend, I will never support that as a good way to start the game. I think you build Phoenix, Geos, Sith, and Jedi. I think those are the 4 cornerstones of any account. That's how you get gear acquisition through the assault battles. Having those different tags for different game modes is important. So we build those teams first, and then we start working on a Galactic Legend. And if you want to build a Galactic Legend as your first main project, that is fine. But that's not really a rush. That's more of, Galactic Legend first. Now, to answer the question, do I think that's a good idea? Absolutely. I think that's still a very good way to build an account. If not the best way, then certainly it is viable, and you'll do really well in Grand Arena. Just to answer the age-old question, I was thinking about this the other day, and people say, well, just because you have a Galactic Legend, I can still beat you in Grand Arena. And that's true. I mean, if you have a Galactic Legend and you go up against a person with more galactic power that has all the meta teams and has spent longer in the game building mods, could you potentially lose that matchup? And the answer is yes. But I think of it like this. If I go into a mod and I try to get a speed roll, I've got a 25% chance of hitting that speed roll, same as everybody else. But let's say I could come in here and there's something I could do differently, a different kind of mod that I could buy that would give me a 40% chance to hit speed. Or maybe there was a certain mod that only had 3 stats, so now I have a 33% chance to hit speed. It doesn't guarantee that I'll hit speed, but I will hit it more often, and statistically, I will always be ahead of somebody who doesn't have the ability to do 33%, right? 33% is just better than 25%. And that's what a Galactic Legend comes down to, right? It doesn't guarantee that you'll win every Grand Arena matchup that you're in, but it gives you a huge statistical advantage. The likelihood that you're going to win that matchup goes way up. Because unless the competitor has a very good account and something to beat the Galactic Legend, or enough other teams that they can hold up against all of your offense, and maybe you put your GL on defense and they can still put down a defense that stops everything you have. So it's possible that you'll lose, but statistically you have a huge advantage once you have a Galactic Legend in your account. So I think that's how I look at it. At the end of the day, it's not about winning and losing. I have a Galactic Legend, so I win. It's about giving yourself the best chance to have a strategic advantage that will result in a win. And with a Galactic Legend, you're just more likely to get that result. That's going to wrap up the Ask Loquitur questions for today. Thank you all for continuing to ask such good questions over there. We'll try to continue to answer some of those over here. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Use your like saber. That helps me. It helps the channel. It's for free. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We've got a new contest coming up soon. We're going to push for subscribers. So, subscribe if you would, please. Get your friends to subscribe. And, I'll give out some prizes and do some things if we hit our goals. So looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next Holocron.